Welcome to Honest Whispers Review for Sale. On this video, I'll be reviewing Marvel Collectors Club Psylocke statue. Released by NECA in 2003. This is number 2043 out of 2500. She is approximately 12.5 inches tall with the base. The figure alone is approximately 11 inches tall. Don't know who the designer or the sculptor is, but it is based on Jim Lee's design. And I'm going to go over 6 different categories to review this. First category is design. It covers the overall look, the pose, and overall it looks great. Classic Psylocke pose. One hand holding a katana, one hand has her psychic knife or psychic blade manifested. And then, but there are some flaws with the design. First off, one that really stands out, blade right here with the handle. The blade comes separately and it comes in wrapped in like wax paper. It has a little needle and kind of like a pin. And it fits nicely, it's snug, but again, it's a bit offset. So if you look at the handle and the blade, there's no katana that's ever made like that. And also, she kind of has a bit of a leaning issue. You could see here, she is very stable. So the figure comes permanently attached to the base. But you'll see how, because the base is slanted, kind of gives her a little bit of a leaning issue. I mean, technically she could be in the middle of turning around as she has her head turned to her left, which I think is really cool. But when you look at it from certain angles, like right here is perfectly fine. And then starting here, it looks a bit like right there. So basically this angle, front and back of this angle right here. Otherwise, I mean, from here a little bit, and then starting here looks okay. Another thing for me is that the costume is inaccurate, especially with Jim Lee's original design. I know there are some comics out there that has, or artists that has drawn her with the backless leotard. But the way I see it, it's usually done by artists that doesn't really know the character that well, and kind of an error. Because if you ever look at Jim Lee art, it's never like that. So the backless looks a little bit weird for me, especially when it comes to Psylocke. And then basically everything else looks, overall great. Just a bit of I guess quality issue, which I'll go over more thoroughly. But for the design score, I do like the overall look, and I like how it is displayable in many different angles. It doesn't really give you where the front is. I mean, for me, I would think by common sense and logic, the front would be right here, but then she's not even looking at you. So right here, if you want to be all like symmetrical, this could be a good front position. But for me, I kind of like it right here, where she's looking directly at you. I really do like how the blade kind of covers part of her body and it really shines Not that it has a glossy finish. So for me, I give the design score a slightly above average, 6 out of 10. Next category, sculpting, covers the details, quality of the sculpt, quality of the mold, and there's a lot of nice details. I do like how her hair is flowing in the wind, sash to the side, so that's also kind of blowing in the wind, just as it could be flowing in the wind. But when I start looking at it in details, I feel like they overdone the sculpting. I mean, looks like every piece of strand of hair is sculpted, so looks a bit messy. I think less could have been more. If certain areas were flat and smooth, would actually look better. And then of course, I mean, there's no major mistakes, but it's pretty rough, especially certain areas like the skin and everything. I think part of it is due to like that matte finish, especially the skin. And then if you look right here in the back, especially like her shoulder blade, it just seems a bit off. Certain areas look like part of her skin got cut off, or you know, part of her muscle got kind of like chewed off a little bit. And right there near her armpit, have that like an indented line almost with the bump. I mean, there are some nice details. Like if I look at the costume right there with the elbow, it looks okay, but I mean, certain areas it's just too much, and then it almost starts looking like, you know, blood veins popping out instead of costume wrinkles. A good example would be her abs. I mean, it's really nice overall, and I do like, I mean, the wrinkles in the costume's okay, but I don't feel like it's really realistic to put it just right there in the middle of her abs. Usually costume doesn't wrinkle up in that kind of area, but rather more in areas where her body is bending. Breasts are very nicely proportioned and shaped, so kind of gets, I don't know, it's a bit of a contrast to see so much details on her abs, and then you have like really nice smooth surfaces on her breasts and shoulders, and then all of a sudden like her elbows are fully detailed. Just a bit, I don't know, just inconsistent. And then when I look at certain body proportions, I mean, the head looks like it's a little bit too big for its body. So I feel like certain body parts are a bit off. The head is definitely, I mean, I think it would look better if the head was just slightly smaller. In certain angles like this, it looks perfectly fine. But like that angle I was at earlier, I mean, when you start comparing like her breast size to her head size, I mean, it starts looking off. Almost looks like super deformed, and even her foot just seems a bit like one of her foot right here just seems kind of big for the overall body. And again, a little bit on the inconsistency. I mean, you have like the ninja toe boots or socks right there on the right, and then you don't really have that on the left toe. Again, like some rough areas, you could see little dimples, you could see indented lines. I could go for a very long time. Even the blade looks great overall, but once you start looking up at it real close, it's all crooked. Would look so much better if I had a perfect straight edge lines. And then right here, the psychic blade. It looks okay, but then just when you look at it up close in certain areas, especially right here on the top, it just looks so flat. I've seen, like, you could see some of the part of the blade. It's supposed to stick out three-dimensionally, but it's like flattened into the blade. So that, I mean, quality-wise, it could have looked so much better. And of course the sash, I mean, it's okay. And it's supposed to be cloth, but I don't know. It just has rough edges. You can see right there, like little indented lines, kind of. So the molding quality isn't great. And then the butt, the shape is okay. It just seems a bit like a really like it's kind of flat, a little flat, and little like tall. It's like long butt. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, again, looks great overall. I mean, the wrinkles right there at her bottom, right over her butt crack. I mean, it's okay. I would have preferred without it. Again, I feel like less is more. And I mean, there's certain nice areas, like for instance, it's kind of like indented lines, I guess, to kind of create a little bit of wrinkles right there. I mean, that kind of looks great, especially when you're looking from afar and then the light reflects off those lines. This looks okay, but one thing I don't like is, realistically, you don't really get wrinkles over the butt crack like that. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's like really loose right there. Again, some nice details on the legs. Again, some of these, you know, like the wrinkles for the costume, it looks more realistic here. It's not like all overdone. Even right there, like where her knees, I mean, that's kind of realistic, and you would see wrinkles in areas where you know, the body part is folding, so that looks a little bit more realistic. And then the base, nice details on the base and everything, and of course you could kind of see a lot of these rough edges, rough lines, which is kind of like, you know, a little bit crooked here and there. Almost looks like somebody, you know, made it with Play-Doh, kind of. But then, I don't know, it just looks a bit primitive, like the architecture of the base. I mean, first off, the roof is like hay roof. I mean, you get bamboo walls, and I guess these are like wooden, you know, I don't know, decorations. And I guess, I don't know, everything, just the way it's slanted. I don't know, it looks primitive. I mean, I can understand the slanted if rain is supposed to fall off. But it's a hay roof. She should be falling like right through. And it's such a small roof. So does that mean this is like, I mean, it is tapering, so it's the tip of like maybe a larger roof, but just the way the angle is. I mean, how small is the room of the building she's standing on? So, I mean, I could understand if it was supposed to be like, I don't know, a symbolic base, but I don't know, just even a plain black base might have been better. That way she might not have been leaning, because, again, her right foot is flat on the ground, and then the angle of her leg, I mean, it goes kind of straight up. It wasn't adjusted, which is one of the reasons why the design score was kind of low. But now for the sculpting score, I mean, I could go on and on regards, to, I don't know, what looks like it's intentional or is that accident. I mean, even like this line right here on her thigh, I mean, it looks like realistic, I mean, kind of, but it's just a bit so, deep in one area and so light in another. And you don't really get that line here. And I guess, of course, it matters on how the body is positioned. But, I mean, it's kind of I don't know, just looks like it's overdone. So, especially right there on the bottom. So if you look, I guess kind of like the reflection of like the costume right here in that area looks I don't know, it's a bit rough. So the sculpting score, I mean, for me, I've seen better, and of course I've seen worse, but not for a statue of this size. So I have to say, average 5 out of 10. Next category is colors. Covers the accuracy of the colors, quality of the paint application. And again, just off the bat, color, especially a paint quality, is really not good, especially for like a full-size statue. It wasn't an expensive statue when it came out, but still should have, quality control could have been a lot better. Everything's like matte finish, and then this is like, especially the skin, it's like matte finish where it has a rough feel or rough texture to it. So if you placed your finger and kind of felt it a bit or touched it, yeah, it just has that rough, I don't know what to explain it. I'm trying to think of like, I don't know, something someone might have made in preschool. It's just like pretty bad. Now, the costume, the paint over the costume, it's better. I mean, it feels more smooth, but it is matte finish. And you see a lot of little mistakes. There's no major mistakes, but a lot of little mistakes. And I'll start with the top. Well, first off, the hair, they did like black shading or outlining to it. So that also makes it a bit messy. And then I was going to start off with the eyes, but placement wise, it's symmetrical, but something about it, I think like her right eye, or for us, the left side, it's like higher than it should be. And then this one, or even looks kind of smaller than it should be. And then this one looks bigger. So it's okay. I mean, I am looking at it really close, so I'm just glad it's not cross-eyed. But again, just seems like one pupil is slightly smaller than the other. And then you could see here her eyeliner. It's like, ugh. Was she doing her makeup while someone was, while she was riding in a car? Like, huge mistake. Almost reminds me of like Egyptian style makeup. Because again, if you look at it here, they connect. And of course the flesh color is bleeding into like the pupil. And then for the costume, I mean, the colors they used is accurate, but a lot of bleeding, squiggly lines. See right there, the neck, the shoulder, and even right here when like certain areas come together, they didn't even paint it all the way. And then, of course, the psychic blade could have been a better pink. Almost looks like melted ice cream. I don't know. I mean, sculpting wise, it kind of looks like melted ice cream, but It reminds me of like rainbow shirt, I don't know, like rainbow sherbet or something, where it kind of the pink and then the green kind of melted together and get that weird color. Sash color's okay. Could have been better. Again, a lot more squiggly lines here, like the panty line. This side isn't too bad. And then you'll get this huge like bumps here on the right side right there. And then again, this is an angle where they don't really, I don't know, it's just not sculpted right. So unfortunately, part of her legs right there is like melted together. And then because of that, they, that's the furthest they could paint her leotard. And then on the back, you'll see kind of the similar effects, where you get these rough lines. And this one's a little better. And if you're looking at it from a different angle, like maybe like right there, you don't really see the mistakes. And for the leg bands, a lot of squiggly lines. No major mistake, but so many little ones. It's literally like every single line. It makes me feel like someone with really shaky hands, or maybe even like a little kid. It's like they use child labor for this. Alright, the base actually, paint wise, I know it's supposed to look all primitive and, but looks realistic. And then you get the little thing that's like tied right there. But yeah, I don't know. So many little issues. Even right here on the belt, see a lot of bleeding. See the blue bleeding on the top, and right here, blue bleeding on the bottom. You see the back. The final area, the handle. This isn't bad, but I don't know, like one of the diamond seems off. Almost like the sculpting's off too. And the fingers, you can see a little bit of flesh color bleeding on there. You get the rough surface too. So it could go on forever. Just going over every little part. And that's why I give the color score a slightly below average. 4 out of 10. Next category is packaging. Really not much to say about it. I mean, it doesn't come in any type of packaging, which is one of the reasons why these statues from the Marvel Collectors Club were very cheap. I mean, you just get kind of like a letter, which isn't even a like a numbered certificate of authenticity. So, and just box numbered, statue, the base is numbered. But yeah, I mean, best thing I could say is the foam protector, the styrofoam protector, does its job, keeps the statue safe. Although it's kind of a hassle because they used like regular foam to wrap around the head for to keep it protected. So I was initially gonna give it the first one score for packaging, but it does that, it does protect the statue, so it keeps it safe. And for me, as long as it's not like a package that breaks the statue, which I have owned a statue where it seems like every single one is broken because the package couldn't protect it. So that's why I give the packaging score a 2 out of 10. Next category is value. Covers the suggested retail price versus the quality, or suggested retail price versus the aftermarket price. In other words, does this have aftermarket uh, growth potential? And for this, it came out 2003, 18 years basically. I think it was around like fall when it came out, like August or September. And when it came out, it was around like $40. I think with tax and shipping altogether, roughly it was about $50. And right now, this I've seen like an opened one, or I mean, supposedly in new condition, I guess, like around 110 plus like average shipping is like $20. Seen a couple broken ones at an average of $125. So a little pricey, especially for a broken one. I think one was like missing the blade with the broken, psychic blade as well. And even that's going for like around 125. So I haven't seen like a brand new one like this one listed yet. I would probably try to sell it for maybe like around 175. And then I don't know if time goes by and I can't sell it fast enough. Maybe, I might gradually bring it down to like, 160 or so. I wouldn't go any lower than 150. At that point, I would probably just keep it and hold on to it. And maybe down the line, it might continue to grow. But unfortunately, this is the lowest, I think, at least for what I have, the lowest Marvel Collectors Club statue. I've seen Nightcrawler, a brand new one, listed for like 300. I had a Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man, with one of the fingers kind of broken. It's not like broken off, but manufacturer defect. So I'm hoping that sells for like 150. But I seen that one, a new one, selling at least not a new one, but a used one for 200. That's in good condition. So value potential is there. So, and 2,500 is a pretty low production. That's why I give the value score a solid 8 out of 10. Final categories overall accumulates the 5 prior categories: design, sculpting, colors, packaging, and value. And this one, from my recollection, this is the second Psylocke statue ever made. And at that time, it was rare to see any Psylocke statue or action figure. So I was very happy with it. But now, 18 years after, many Psylocke statues and figures have been made. This one, I have to be honest, this is one of the worst Psylocke statues ever made. There is some value there, and it, due to its rarity, I mean, that's probably the best point, is that it has some aftermarket value and it has some potential to continue going up in value. So otherwise, I mean, yeah, the quality could have been a lot better, especially when you compare it to other, Marvel Collectors Club statues. So for me, I do like it, but at this point, I mean, there are other statues I would definitely, hold on to. And this is one of the reasons why I'm selling it. And that's why I give the overall score an average 5 out of 10. So to recap: design 6 out of 10, sculpting 5 out of 10, colors 4 out of 10, packaging 2 out of 10. Value, 8 out of 10. And overall, 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Until next time, continue reading the King James Version Bible and eat your vitamin C's daily.